Sorry, folks. Always got to take the healthy stuff. Just bear with me here one moment, folks. We'll get started in a little bit. I'm very happy how this turned out, by the way. I just want to set up. Amin MK Lucas, how you doing, folks? Just bear with me. Happy how this. Just bear with me here for a moment. I want to get my eBay stores link up on top here. Okay. I got the volume down. It's just I got the double screen going. So welcome, welcome, welcome. How you folks doing today on this Monday? Thank you for joining. I just want to make sure I got everything all set up right there. How you doing, everybody? Welcome to this live stream where I finally reveal the outcome of the restoration project of the Air Jordan 4 white oxidized dumpster sneakers that I found. This was a bit challenging because of the nature of the damage of the sneakers, unfortunately. If you're new to the channel, I would appreciate it if you would subscribe and also hit that thumbs up button. It really helps to support the channel. Click the pinned comment in the chat. That'll take you right to my eBay store if you want to help to support the channel financially. Thank you very much, everybody. I'm dedicating this one to my buddy Wolf, who passed not that long after my father died, who used to live over here upstairs behind me. Forgive me, my hair is a little wet. I just took a shower. Oh my God, I got that Burton C. Bell hair going from Fear Factory. Yeah, I'm trying to grow my hair out like I'm 18 years old again, but I might call it quits. I got people telling me, yeah, grow it, grow it. We never seen you with long hair before. But thank you, everybody. You know, if you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. Hit that thumbs up button. It helps the channel to grow. And hit the link that's pinned. It'll take you right to my eBay store if you want to help to support the channel. But definitely subscribe and hit that thumbs up. And we'll get into this in a little bit. So welcome aboard, everybody. I really appreciate it. I'm going to wait for a couple more minutes, and then we'll get into this and what it took to get these shoes to at least look wearable. So cheers, everybody. There are my supplements for the day. And of course, to piss off the haters, Zero Sugar Monster, not sponsored. Welcome, 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 everybody. First, a huge, huge shout out to my friends, my neighbors, my eBay customers, family, everybody who have really, really showed their support of myself. I really thank you for that. You know, a bunch of my neighbors have been coming up over the past couple days, albeit that today's Monday, so I'm not surprised if most of them are working. As you know, I am my own boss and I run my own small business out of my own home. So, you know, I try to keep myself busy with the eBay store and making YouTube content for everybody. You know, obviously, I really push my eBay store quite a bit, you know, because that's one of the sources of my income. Forgive me here while I plug this in because I didn't do that the last time and my phone almost died. So thank you, everybody. Much appreciated. Thank you to my eBay customers. I've been doing really, really good on eBay. My God, I probably had about maybe 60 orders or something like that. I'm down to 400 472 spots over at my eBay store, and I had over 500 and something. So thank you to all of you who cleaned the house. And we are now in November, which means the eBay clock resets. So I have 250 spots that are open for me to start listing cards again, and I have a whole pile of them getting ready to go. And this is going to be very Dodgers, LA Dodgers, eccentric. Being that they did win the World Series, I figure now's a good time to start listing those cards. I am going to dedicate this to my buddy Wolf, aka Robert Hummel, who passed not that long after my father, because he, like many like me, who know what it is to be homeless, who knows what it is to go through hard times, who knows what it is to have people sweep them off to the side and treat them as if they're animals. This pair of shoes that I'm going to reveal here on camera, now that they are done, finally, I will most likely, I have two candidates. If not, I have a third one just in case. There's a homeless man that has set up encampment over at the strip mall where I live here by Walmart. And I think he's the one who I should give these shoes to. And mind you, I found these in the dumpster that's right here on the property where I live. And if you've been watching the channel, if you're sneakerheads or you're just interested in how this went, I mean, there was really no reason to throw these shoes out, in my opinion. Not saying that you should live as a dumpster diver, because I am not a dumpster diver, but as a sneakerhead myself. Well, I'm not really a traditional sneakerhead. I do have a decent sized sneaker collection. I saw these shoes and I'm like, you know what? Let me take these shoes and see what I can do with them. If I can at least make them presentable and wearable. They're obviously not dead stock because they're well worn, but I think I've accomplished that. They're not perfect in any way. I try to keep some of the patina in place. I try to keep some of the wear in place. There are just certain things that are beyond my ability, unfortunately. So I did what I could with what I had, and I think these shoes would be best put in the hands of somebody who has nothing. And unfortunately, in today's world, I don't think too many people care. They like to stuff money into an envelope, and then they will go out and tell everybody, "Oh, look at all the good I did." But what we're going to do on this channel is we are going to give these shoes to a homeless person if he's there. When I go over there, I'm not sure. We'll see when the time comes. I don't have any eBay orders today. I cleared out, whatever eBay orders I did have from my sports card customers. So eventually, if I have to go food shopping or something like that, and he is there, I will take these with me and present them to him. And if he's not there, and if, let's just say, Mecklenburg or the police chased him away, I have a second candidate who's low income who lives here on the property that I can give these to. But I'm going to wait for a few more minutes before I reveal these shoes. This was a very nice project to work on. Again, I'm not like your traditional sneakerhead, but I know what it is to have nothing. I know what it is to be treated like dirt. I know what it is to be swept off to the side like an animal. I know what it is for people to stomp on you for no reason, harass you, bully you. There's a thing called the bystander effect in psychology where, you could be laying there bleeding to death, or there could be a bunch of people, fighting one person, like a bunch of young kids beating up on an elderly person, and people just stand there and do nothing and record. That's like what happened here in Charlotte, where a whole bunch of people on the light rail were just sitting there with that crazy man stabbing that Ukrainian woman. I am such a person who will defend the weak. I will not allow another person to hurt another. And I stand by that, and I will not apologize for that. And I will not allow people to stomp on me because of the type of man that I am. I will defend anyone at any time, and even put myself in a line of fire, there aren't a lot of people who do that because they're apathetic. They don't care about anybody but themselves. I'm sorry. I have empathy. I have sympathy for people that suffer. I'm sorry. I know that sometimes my politics, most people won't agree with my politics and my political beliefs, but I'm a traditionalist first and foremost, and I am not going to compromise my beliefs for anyone. Fat, black, gay, trans, guilty, white, liberal, cross-dresser, it, what, who, pronoun, weirdo, anti-gun nut, or any of that ilk. I'm not changing for anybody, and I stand by that. And as a result of somebody who suffered through basically being tossed to the side like a piece of trash, and many of you who've watched my channel or have been supporting the channel know what I've gone through this year with the death of my dad. Again, the death of my buddy Wolf. This is his crucifix from off of his neck. And I'm dedicating this to him because he knew what it was like to be swept off to the side. I don't think he would, usually in his culture and even in Germanic culture, it's kind of disrespectful to speak of the dead in such ways. I'm going to show his photo right there. That's my buddy Robert Hummel, who was severely, in my opinion, mistreated. This man would come to my home severely depressed. And there was one night where I stopped him, and I hope the powers that be are watching. I stopped him from doing something very terrible to himself, if you can read between the lines and infer to what I'm saying. I know what it is to suffer in this manner. And it seemed like nobody cared about what he felt. I did, because I've been down that road. Fuck the powers that be. How dare you? The way he was treated, I treated him like a human being. And that's why I'm wearing his crucifix around my neck today. So I dedicate this to him and everybody out there who has nothing. I know what it is to suffer. I know what it is to live in my car. I know what it is to be falsely accused of things. I know what it is to suffer people's jealousy and envy. I know what it is to, be accused of being a racist when I'm not. Or cheating on a woman, like what happened with my ex. She accused me of cheating on her. She accused me of all sorts of crazy things. I sat in jail for 4 nights for nothing. I had to prove my innocence, which I did successfully. I know what it is to suffer. I know what it is to suffer the wrath of a world that doesn't give a shit except about itself. And when I found these shoes, my heart immediately started communicating with my brain, and my brain said, you know what, let's do this. Let's put the heart and soul together. Let's put some of that knowledge together with my soul and my penchant for helping people that are less fortunate than me, even though people just don't seem to give a shit anymore. I decided to take this upon myself, and the results hopefully will be satisfactory to all of you. Now, I am not a professional sneaker restorer. This is just something I did in my spare time with a little bit of knowledge I do have, because I do have quite the sneaker collection, though I don't have walls and walls and walls of Nike Air Jordans like many of you may have. But I have enough where I can appreciate the fact that at least I have sneakers. Most people don't. They take themselves for granted. They prop themselves up. They try to be divas. They try to be big rock stars. They try to be something that they're not. At the end of the day, we all have to shit, burp, fart, eat. Men sometimes miss the edge of the bowl when they wake up first thing in the morning, when they have to take a leak. People wake up with crust at the corners of their eyes. People get acid reflux. In other words, we're just fucking monkeys that talk and clothe ourselves. And people tend to forget about the person that's standing next to them. They couldn't care less. So what I'm going to do with these shoes, I'm going to show them off first and show you the results and tell you exactly what it was I did. And I'm going to put them on feet. They are a little small on me. They do fit me. They're approximately a size 12. I wear a size 13 Nike Air Jordan. Many of you, if you've been watching my channel, know I have quite a few Jordans in my collection. The most recent pickups were the 2025 white cements that came out, the Jordan 4s, which I did a review of on the channel here. I just want to make sure I get some socks on so I can try these on for you folks. And I'll put them on feet. You can see what they look like on feet. They look presentable. The goal was not to make these dead stock. The goal was to make sure that the person that I present these to can at least feel like a human being again and not like a fucking animal. I do have a brand new fleece blanket I will present to him as well, because at nighttime it does get cold here where I live. Right now, Alexa, what's the current temperature?
Right now, it's 70 degrees Fahrenheit.
So it's a little spring-like out there. But at night it does get cold. And he's got a big shopping cart worth of stuff. You know, that's the only possession he has. And I have lots of things. And I've given people shoes and t-shirts and food. Even for that failed Halloween party, I gave away beer recently, wine, potato chips that were meant for those kids. And unfortunately, I want to put this out there for the public record that right below my little fold-up table here, where I have my cards that are listed currently and will be listed on eBay, there are 2 boxes of cards. My intention was, past tense, to give those cards out to those kids, and I was denied that. And they're right there. These are all flagship, Topps flagship from last year, all of them. This is what I was going to give out to the kids for Halloween, on top of potato chips, and I was denied that. 2 boxes, just like this. There's got to be hundreds of cards. But I always will find a way to be generous to people and be generous to kids. I bought 4 boxes of chalk for a little girl who I'm friends with, the grandmother. Very nice lady who actually gave me a big piece of lasagna and chicken cutlets, which I ate last night before I hung out with one of my buddies. I'm grateful for that. But I gave her chalk to give to her granddaughter, because her granddaughter likes to draw, chalk drawings on the concrete and all that stuff. So I bought boxes of chalk just for her. And that's how it's supposed to be. Everybody talks about the communita. And I hope the powers that be are watching. Where's the community now? The magic seems to be disappearing from this place, but I'm not going to let it just die out like a flame. I will find a way to get those cards to the kids in this neighborhood. If I have to go knocking door to door, if I must. But I, like my buddy Wolf, who nobody gave a living shit about, I'm going to make them care about me. Social media has a very powerful way of exposing people when it needs to be. That man almost took his own life right here in my home, because nobody gave a damn about him. I did. And having roots that potentially go back to the Germanic tribes, like he was a Native American, him and I really, really got along quite well with each other. We understood each other a lot. I gave him sneakers and food. He never had spaghetti before. I cooked him spaghetti. But he went through all of that. He went through homelessness. He went through all sorts of hell. And I saved him from taking his own life when he was alive. That's a fact. Right here in this living room. So to you, Robert Hummel, a.k.a. Wolf, I dedicate this to you. And again, this crucifix is right off of his neck prior to him dying. He gave it to me. Just like I gave him a Mjolnir, which is Thor's hammer. I know what it's like to not have anything. So we are going to reveal these sneakers right now. And again, most likely my primary candidate for these is a homeless person that has taken up shop over at the strip mall right on the other side of the property here. And I probably will present these to him. Again, these are approximately a men's size 12. I wear a size 13. They do fit me, but they fit me real tight. But the goal was to make these as presentable and wearable as possible. So if you haven't done so already, before I do the reveal, do me a solid, hit that like button if you haven't done so already. Subscribe to the channel. Help to show your love for this type of thing, folks. If you have stuff, I'm not saying you have to live for other people, but if you have something like this, folks, don't just toss it in the trash. Take the time to give it a second life and give it to somebody that needs it more. Because like I said, man, before I moved down here to North Carolina from New York as a 9/11 recovery worker, to see how the people of my former home are behaving with their anti-Semitism, stomping on our Jewish brothers and sisters, flying Palestinian flags, how they swept police officers under the rug with their anti-police rhetoric and their anti-white rhetoric and all that bullshit. I know what it is, folks. Believe me what I tell you. When you are treated like you're nothing, there is always going to be a mean streak in me because of that. But going through hardship, it just makes you stronger in your heart, in your mind, in your soul. I don't need costumes. I don't need pins. I don't need secret handshakes. I don't need to join special clubs to know what kind of man I am. Time for the reveal. So I'm going to pull the camera back here a little bit. This may get a little wonky. But again, I thank you everybody for joining this live stream. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Hit that like button. And here we go. Forgive me if my work desk is a little out of sorts, but here is the reveal. So now, if you've been watching my channel, you'll know how bad these shoes were, in particular the left shoe. Now, again, they're not perfect. There are wrinkles in the toe box. There are still some signs of wear and tear, especially on the sole of the shoe. But I wanted to get them to be presentable and wearable, so that this way the person I give these to can just slip them on their feet, and that's that. They don't have anything to worry about except to have nice new shoes on their feet. So I'll go over both shoes right now. This is the right foot. Now, I did my best to try to clean the soles on the bottom. I did use a wire brush. I did put a brush on the end of a screw gun. I used rubbing alcohol and methylene chloride and whatever methods that were available to me. I did dunk these into diluted bleach water. And I also did rinse them off with a little bit of diluted... let me wind back here. I'm kind of pumping out too much information too quickly. So I dunked them a second time in hot water and a shot glass worth of rubbing alcohol. Let them dry out and then let them soak in fabric softener for a little bit, and then I disinfected them. Of course, I pulled the soles out and bleached the shoelaces a couple times, and then gave the shoes a nice repaint. Hopefully these are showing up on camera for all of you. But if you've seen these when I first had them in hand, oh my God, were they trashed. Especially the left sneaker. The left sneaker was so much harder to do than the right sneaker. So I took a lint shaver and shaved off all the lint and cleaned them up where I can. Again, they're not perfect. There are still some signs of wear on them. Again, in particular, the soles of the shoes. But I mean, to the layman, you wouldn't know if you really looked at them from far away. So all that paint that was on here came off, which was nice. I did take a little silicone paste and apply it to the air units to make them a little bit more clear. It's a temporary fix, but at least for now, they're nice and clear. You can actually see right through them if I can get the proper light, because they were really dirty. And now we're going to look at the problem child, which was the left shoe. This was the hardest of the two to do. And again, you know, I did add a fresh amount of bleach to the Jumpman tag that's here on the tongue. Clean them up real nice. I had to take a toothbrush and literally get in there and clean it. The shoelaces on this shoe, I did give them a good bath. I let them soak in bleach. Unfortunately, some of the staining didn't come out. You may not see that on camera, but the shoelaces were just as temperamental as this particular shoe. The toe box is really messed up. And even after sanding it, it was starting to lose its integrity. So what I did is I started dabbing the Angelus paint on there to kind of give it a little bit of texture, which you can see right there. I mean, this was really deep into the leather. Like, this whole section of the toe box was completely gone. Same went for the side of the shoe. You may not be able to see it on camera because I really did a number on this. Sanded it down a little bit and then did the same technique and just dabbed it on a foam Q-tip and applied the Angelus paint and let it sit there. I had to do the same. It might be a little obvious here. You can see where I did that here. Unfortunately, there's one or two paint swipes that could not be helped. You can see a little bit of pitting right there, but it's not noticeable from far away. The heel was completely gone. And again, using the same technique of just dabbing the Angelus paint on there to build that up a little bit, really came out really well. It's not perfect. There's still a little bit of pitting you can see right there from the damage on the shoe, but again, you really have to be looking to see that. And this whole side, from top to bottom over here, for whatever reason, was just completely chewed up. Again, using the same technique of just filling it in and blobbing it in with a foam Q-tip. Really fixed that issue, and then I took methylene chloride and rubbing alcohol to get all the paint off of the green material here, which unfortunately I accidentally swiped it a couple times. I didn't apply silicone to the air unit yet, and for the life of me, I don't know what I did with that little silicone tube I have. Hold on one second here, ladies and gentlemen. I picked it up and I put it somewhere before this live stream. Oh, that's okay. We can always go to plan if I can't find it in a hurry. And the answer is no. So we'll go to plan B. I'm not going to waste my time because I do have a big can of plumber's silicone, which works just as well, and you only need the slightest little dab of it. So we'll apply the plumber's silicone to the air unit to keep it nice and fresh and new, and you don't even need that much. You need just a little dab on there, and take it right off of the brush that's built into the can. I'm trying not to get this on my hands. God, I was cleaning paint off of my fingers, and I just got out of the shower about a half hour before I started this live stream. So, but again, there's the silicone, the clear silicone paste, and you just gradually and very liberally apply it, and you'll probably still see a little dirt getting on there, which there is, and then you go to the other side, apply more of that silicone, and it'll really clear up that fog, clear up the dirt, and it will revitalize the rubber. I mean, I can even spread this out all over here because this is a rubber material. Do not apply this on the leather parts of the shoe, because this is meant more for plastics and rubber and will keep this material nice and soft and pliable. You can even put it right there on that paint. It's not going to hurt it at all, to be honest with you. And just go on and get it in there. Give it one good wipe at least, because you don't want it to cake up. Otherwise, it's going to be a magnet for dirt. So you just want to put the thinnest amount and just spread it out all over the rubber parts and plastic parts of the shoe. And it will extend the life of the plastic and the rubbers. Because again, silicone, this type of silicone, or any silicone, is actually meant for rubber gaskets and O-rings and things like that. A good plumber will know you never, ever use an O-ring on anything unless you have some sort of lubricant on it, so that this way it doesn't dry out over time. So if you get a little too much on the air unit, look how nice and shiny and new that is, nice and clear. And just spread out the excess. Let me just take a look at the other shoe here quickly. I mean, I could apply it. You know what? Let's just do it anyway because we can. We got the camera going and we got some viewers here. I know it's a little early to be doing this. Some of you folks are probably at work or busy or what have you, or just dropping by, curious as to know how this project finally turned out. But again, the primary candidate to receive these shoes will most likely be this homeless man that I saw over at Walmart's strip mall there. So now this is the other shoe. I'm going to just liberally take a little of that silicone. That's actually a lot. Get it in there and spread it all over the place. Not on the leather, just on the plastics and the rubbers only. And this stuff will sponge up all of this silicone very quickly because, as you know, Jordans over time do tend to turn to dust as far as the midsoles are concerned. And this will just extend the life of that because it'll keep that foam pliable. I think that's pretty good. So let me get a microfiber cloth right here and just give it a once over one more time for the excess. You kind of want to let it sit on there so that, you know, the rubbers absorb that silicone. But, you know, because we're here on YouTube and I'm trying to save a little time here, I can always do that off camera. But you get the idea. Look at how nice that looks now. You can see right through it. Like a proper Nike Air Jordan shoe. Or in this case, a Jordan brand shoe. If you really want to go tit for tat. The shoelaces, unfortunately, on this shoe, it doesn't really show on camera. I had to literally take a Q-tip and spot these shoelaces because whatever oil and grease was in these from the previous owner, it was really difficult to get those stains out, and I didn't want to ruin the shoelaces by scrubbing them. I did have a soft bristle brush to try to clean these, but I decided to just take a Q-tip with a little bit of bleach and literally apply them directly and then take a lint shaver and shave them down a little bit, and they cleaned up really, really nice. But you may not be able to see it on camera, but there still are little hints of staining on there. But again, the goal is to make these look presentable and wearable. And I guess the next question is, what do they look like on feet? Well, we'll answer that right now. Now, again, I'm a size 13, and I'm going to guess that these are at least a size 12. So I'm going to pan the camera around here a little bit. You get to see me put these on. These have been disinfected and bleached and cleaned and everything, so I'm not afraid to put them on my feet. Again, they're a little tight because I'm a size 13, but you wouldn't notice. I mean, take a look at them. If they fit me, I probably would have kept them, but I'd rather somebody get these. I got more things than God has provided me with plenty. I don't need anything else. So I'll let someone who has less fortune than I do get these. Let me take my phone out of the camera stand here so you can really get a look at them. That's what they look like on feet. They look like they're brand new, right? I'm very happy how these turned out. I mean, they could have been a little bit better. Towards the end, I was getting a little frustrated because certain parts of these shoes were very, very hard to smooth out and make even as far as the leather is concerned. But for what they are, if you've been watching my little mini series as to how I've been upgrading these and painting them and everything and restoring them, you would never know. When you look at them on feet like this, you would never think these came out of a dumpster. I think it was the left shoe that had the paint chipping right there. So I was able to repaint that at the last minute. I got some paint on there and cleaned up that paint chipping. But there you have it. Dumpster shoes on feet. And some fortunate person is going to get these. You would never know. I mean, I can feel my toes are smashed in these because they're so tight. Let me just check something out here again because my TV screen keeps timing out. And I want to keep an eye on the chat. Come on. What the hell? Yeah, this is my TV acting up. There we go. Okay. Awesome. So, there you go, folks. On feet. All painted up, done up, disinfected, all that good stuff. You would never know that these came out of a dumpster. The wasteful manner that people engage in, to me, is an insult. There's all it took was a little time, patience, luck, skill, and some TLC and appreciation to those who are less fortunate, like I once was, to be able to take something that someone once considered garbage that now can go on the feet of somebody who has nothing or has little. And that's them on feet. Now the soles, the bottoms of the shoes, these were the most difficult. There is a little bit of wear. Dylan, cool man, thank you very much, my friend. I mean, again, there's still going to be a little patina on these. But the goal was to have them presentable and wearable. Like you see, there's a little wear and tear there. I wasn't really going to focus on that too much. You can see there's still a little dirt. But, you know, for all intensive purposes, they are cleaned up. There are going to be little signs of wear and tear here and there. This side of the shoe was completely chewed up, if you've been watching my YouTube shorts. This was all chewed up. There's still a little bit of paint. A little bit of heavy paint over here. You can see the line where I literally had tape on here. But I'm not going to mess with that. Again, it was to get the shoes to look wearable and presentable. That was the goal. I like to get a brighter light on these if I can. Let me take the LED here. Look how nice and white and bright these are. And that's not the LED. I actually have a piece of paper over there or a piece of paper over the light to buffer the light a little bit. You can see where I painted this area here because there was paint chipping. I couldn't fill it completely, but at least it's presentable. You can see some of that wear and tear, I think, right on the side of the shoe. And again, there's the silicone trick that I used. There's still a little scuffing on there, but I'm not so concerned about that. As long as the person I give these to can wear them, that's all that matters. This toe box out of the two was the worst. So to make it look textured, I literally had to take Angelus paint and just dab it on there with a foam swab. Boom, 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 boom. Then sanded it a little bit, did it again, sanded it, and just tried to make it look as natural. So what do you do about the front sole separation on the black thing on the side? So this is actually green, if that's what you're talking about here. On this particular, there really was no separation here. Most Jordans, unfortunately, have a gluing problem. So this is just wear and tear from the shoe expanding and contracting and all that, but there was no separation there on the toe box, which was good. Normally, you would use barge cement along with clamps or Velcro or belts or rubber bands, along with a heat gun to do all that stuff. I've never tried to do a sole swap before. This is like my first, repaint, cleanup, restoration of shoes like this. I mean, I have a pretty decent collection of Jordans. So, just using these basic techniques really gave these shoes a second life. But yeah, if you get sole separation, the only thing you can really do is get Angelus barge paint, I think. Not Angelus, I'm sorry. Barge cement, blah, 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 blah. Sorry. I'm trying to put too much information out there at one time. So yeah, barge cement is what you want to use. Rev Prodigy says, I had the black part come off a pair of OG, mine a bit, and I tried to glue it and wrap it with a towel type, but it didn't work. Yeah, you may want to use rubber bands, large industrial rubber bands. Clamps work, belts work, Velcro works, Velcro straps. You have to make sure that the shoes are all lined up and all that kind of thing and that they're gripped nice and tight. Most guys will actually use clamps on their shoes. Some guys will stuff the shoes and then use rubber bands. There's a couple different ways to do it. But yeah, you can tell even from here. Look at how deep that was. This one was a little deep too, but not as bad. This shoe right here, what a pain in the rear end. It was a real pain in the rear end. At least I got this filled in a little bit and repainted this because that had paint chipping on it, the green parts, or what they call the oxidized parts, what they call green oxidized. That's why they're oxidized. Yeah, that's them. Now, again, I don't know why the previous owner did this. There should be a tag on the side, and there's not. You can see the remnants of that on the inside of the shoe. Maybe it was uncomfortable for the previous owner. I have no idea why. Obviously, you know, whatever was in there has worn out a long time ago. I'm aware that you can get iron-on stuff, but I'm not going to go the distance for all that stuff. Yeah, I can go through all of that stuff as well. You know, I can do it with a steamer and all that kind of thing. But because it's not a complete restoration like most guys do, I just wanted to get the shoes to be wearable and to try to match the patina of the shoes. I mean, I can go the next step. I do have a steamer and I do have an iron, and I can, you know, flush out all of that, but I'm really not gonna go all that crazy with these. I mean, as long as the person can wear them, that's all I really care about. But that's them, finally. You can see some of that pitting right there. I mean, I literally had to get in there with Angelus leather paint. I did sand it down, but what was starting to happen, even with the lightest bit of sandpaper, it was starting to become a little too fuzzy for my liking. And I did use light grit sandpaper and some water on it, but it just wasn't doing what I wanted it to do. So I'm like, I better stop because I got that sense that I'm going to tear a hole in these. That's not what you want to do. But, you know, to match the texture of this tumbled leather, you know, I basically, like I said, got some Angelus paint and a foam tip, which I think I have some of them foam tips right here. And just took the paint and, you know, worked it in like so. Let it dry, put another coat, let it dry, put another coat, and then 2 thin coats back and forth, really, really thin. And then I took a brush and then brushed it off to make sure that there was no bubbles or anything in there to kind of like work that paint in, and also to take some of the shine out of these. And I'm going to have to take the horsehair brush one more time on both shoes just to give it a good once over to make them, you know, make them good. And that's that. I'm completely happy with this project. Couldn't be happier. But yeah, the left shoe, ladies and gentlemen, this was the worst part. This shoe was the dirtiest, the most damaged, and the most scuffed. And you can always go back on my channel to see here. This is like a spot that I wasn't happy with. Maybe I'll sand this back out and get that paint line out of there. But again, you know, the goal was to get them to be wearable, not to be dead stock. There's no way you're going to get these dead stock. You know, obviously, I don't want to pass these off as dead stock either because that's, you know, being an ass. So, you know, and plus little things like this add character to the shoes because these were worn by somebody. I just couldn't stand to see them go to waste like that. You know, there are no holes on the bottom. There's no sole separation or anything like that. I mean, all you needed to do was just take some time to fix these up, and now they're like brand new sneakers. You can see some of the pitting. I think I showed this in a live stream today. Not a live stream, excuse me. In a YouTube short where there was flaking. You can still see just a little bit of that flaking left. But again, the more I was taking sandpaper to this, the more material was coming up. So I had to make a decision. What do I do here? Do I just keep sanding it down? Or do I just take a chance and paint it again? And I decided, let me do a little bit more sanding, and I'm going to paint it and see what happens. But again, you really have to be looking at this to see this. I mean, I got the shoe literally shoved in front of my camera here. But from far away, you're not going to see that. Again, the point is to get them to be wearable. It's going to go to somebody that is down on their luck, and I think they'll appreciate anything they can put on their feet. So, and if I find another pair of J's or another pair of sneakers that's messed up like this, I'm going to do it again. I'm here chewing on ice. Forgive me, folks. You're not supposed to be doing that. Bad habits. Bad habits I got. But this shoe was the worst. Oh my God, was this the worst offender? So I don't think there's really much more to say at this point. They're done. There was one other thing I did to kind of like fine tune these a little bit. I am going to take a horsehair brush and brush off all of, the threads and whatnot to hopefully loosen up this paint that's in here a little bit. I had to take a knife and get in there and kind of separate some of this paint because it looked like it was caked up too much. So I wanted the shoes to look natural. I just took a knife, a really sharp knife, and got in there. It still looks a little caked in some spots, but if I do this again with a knife, you can see the widow's peak right there, which is cool. So you can see an example of the caked up paint that's right there on the heel. But again, you really have to be looking. Let me see if I find one of my pocket knives. I don't want to waste any more time because I don't want to be live streaming all night. Here we go. Okay. So here's Smith & Wesson, one of two that I have like this. Now, you don't want to push too deep. If you want to create the illusion that they're separate pieces, which they are, if you get any caked paint in there, just very lightly and gently just scrape away, because what will happen is that your knife will want to go where it wants to go, and you may actually cut into the material, and you don't want to do that. But you see, like, it looks a little too caked up here, so I kind of want to just, and I don't want to go too deep either because I don't want to cut the threads, because then the shoes will fall apart. But just little by little, in little baby steps, in like maybe 1 centimeter slices, or to those that don't like metrics, like a ½ inch. So you go by centimeter by centimeter and just kind of separate it a little bit, and then it'll make that nice clean look like a dead stock pair of shoes. Like I can actually do that right there on the toe cap just a little bit, just to kind of give it a little bit more of a natural look, where it doesn't look like cake, like paint is just caked up on there. You want to separate that just a little bit, centimeter by centimeter. You will get a little paint chipping and some leather material come off the shoe, but the goal is to make it natural. Like I happen to have my red cements right here, as a matter of fact, that I'm wearing today. You want it to look like this. Oops, where it looks, get these out of the way. Here's my red cements. You have to clean these a little bit. But you see it has like a natural leather look to it, where it's not quite white. So in order to emulate that, you kind of want to take your knife just a little bit, if there's too much paint caked up in there, and just gradually shave it away to make it look natural. And if you really want to go the next step, if you want to retain that suede look, if you have the patience and time, you can just scratch all this paint off of there and make it look factory. Like here in between the shoelaces, how it looks factory, you can make it look like that if you want. The sky's the limit. They're your shoes. You could do what you want. But in this case, like I said, I want to give these to that homeless man. If he's still out there sleeping by Dunkin' Donuts, I want him to have these. But all these little details will make it worth it. See, like over here, it's just a little, to me, it looks a little caked up over there. So when you put that little finishing touch on here as well, the heel don't look so bad. This doesn't look right up here. So I'll do the same thing, just a little bit, like in this corner here. Oops. See, that's why you got to be careful. You got to go centimeter by centimeter and just go slow and take your time. You don't want to cut into the shoe, and you certainly don't want to cut the threads because you don't want separation. So, but you want to try to get it to look like it's dead stock. Even though they're not dead stock, you want to create the illusion like they haven't been painted or anything like that. So and just very gently, whoops, go in there. You notice I got distracted because one of the school buses just pulled up. I mean, I'm pretty happy with that. Looks pretty natural, right? Even if I want to, this looks a little caked up back here on the heel, so if I wanted to, and again, be careful. You don't want to cut yourself either, so go slow and just little by little separate the paint from the heel. And just take your time, and then it'll create that natural stitched on look like it would if you got these dead stocked. And that's pretty much it, folks. There's really not more I can say about these. I mean, again, the goal is not to try to pass these off as dead stock. The goal is to get them to be wearable and presentable. And I will, when the time comes and I'm ready to hand these off, hopefully that homeless dude is still there. Somehow, I got to try to find a way to film him. I don't want to put his face on camera unless he allows me to. I'll see if I get his permission, but I like to hand him these sneakers and a blanket so he can stay warm. And that'll be it. And that's the end of this little series of mine, getting these sneakers to come back to life. I'm very, very happy with the results. They're not perfect, but they are presentable, they are wearable, and now they have a second life. Now, who knows what he's going to do with these if I see him next time I go to Walmart or something like that. What's he, hopefully he doesn't take them and sell them. I mean, unfortunately, when you're out there, you're on your own. Like when I was homeless in New York, I was collecting cans and bottles, and, I didn't have the kind of money like I have now. None of that 9/11 money was coming in. Social Security was still screwing me and everything. It was rough, man. It was rough. You really don't know until you go through it yourself. It's a little caking up of paint over here in the corner I don't like. Just get some of that paint out of there, just to create the illusion that these are semi-dead stock. Yeah, that looks a lot better when you separate the paint like that. It doesn't look phony. Even though here, like right here, this was a problem on this shoe. Again, this is the worst offender out of the two shoes. You can see where the toe cap was really, really worn down. So I had to make a decision. Do I try to smooth this out, or I just paint over it? I just decided to paint over it instead and save some time. But again, if you're looking at this over here, yeah, that's not really sole separation. That's just from expansion and contraction of the natural movement of the shoe. As the shoe moves, it's going to flex, it's going to move, it's going to roll, all that kind of stuff. That's why, when you put on sneakers, the first signs of wear are going to be right here. The next signs of wear will be here on the arches of the shoes. That's kind of typical for J's anyways. Well, that's pretty much it, folks. There's not much more to say about these shoes. I'm very happy with these results, though they could have been a little bit more refined and fine-tuned. But, some lucky person out there is going to have themselves a restored pair of Nike Air Jordan white oxidized shoes. Who knows what this individual may do with them? They may sell them. I don't know. That's not my affair. The goal was just to do this to give to somebody. And first chance I get, I don't have any eBay orders to process today because I did all that and I have all the food in the world. I don't have to go out today for anything. I kind of need a break from everyone and everything anyway, especially, if any of my friends and neighbors are watching. Thank you for really, really, showing your love over the past 3 days, man. Some of the people that have been, coming up here home and calling me and texting me and all that sort of thing have really, really made me feel, like a human being. I really appreciate that, folks. And again, to do something like this for somebody that's less fortunate and going through like what I went through, I can't stand to see people suffer. The goal is not to save the world or save the planet or anything like that. But, when I saw this, I thought this was a waste. A pair of Nike Air Jordans goes for like $200-300. And they really smell dead stock. When you really go through the motions and you properly clean these and disinfect these, They literally go back to smelling dead stock, even though they're not. They smell like a brand new pair of shoes. I hope that this person, will appreciate this. But again, I have to be careful, because you don't know, if I do give this to this individual who's my primary candidate, hopefully they're not, up there. Because when you're out in the street, and believe me, I have experience with this too, when people treat you like you're not a human being, it could push you to really, really, question your own sanity. It's very rough indeed. So, but I'm going to try to figure out a way to do this, folks. And of course, I'll upload a video of me giving away these shoes to this person. Hopefully they are sane, and let them know what I did to bring these shoes back to life, and pass them off, and that'll be it. We'll do that in due time. Here's the other shoe. And what's nice is they stiffened up real nice. So these will definitely last for a while. Listen to that. They stiffened up really, really well. A little bit of leather conditioner. Oh, that was something else too, by the way. Let me show you this, what I did with these shoes also. One of my little secrets to keeping my shoes clean. Oh, that's the ceramic stuff. No, that's not it. This is from my couch. Where is the spray? What did I do with the leather spray? Of course, I'm live streaming and I can't find my stuff. That happens sometimes. Oh, crap. What did I do? I just bought a brand new bottle of leather conditioner. Or did I leave it in the bedroom by accident? Hold on, folks. I'm sorry. Shit. Well, that figures. You don't know what I did with the leather conditioner that I bought. This is for my couch. Because I have a faux leather couch, I use this stuff to clean and condition my couch. But I bought a brand new bottle of leather cleaner, and I don't know what I did with it. Right here. Never mind. Right in front of my face. The power of live YouTube, right, folks? At least you know I'm not an AI robot. That's the stuff that I use on my Jordans with a microfiber cloth to gently clean the leather parts. Don't use this on suede. If you have tumbled leather, say like on my fours, you can actually use this on the rubber. It doesn't really do anything to the air pockets or anything like that. So you can use this freely. But I suggest using a microfiber cloth because you don't want the paint to peel, and it'll keep the shoes smelling good, looking good, and will extend the life of your shoes. This stuff is pretty expensive. It's like $10, $12 for a bottle of this stuff. But it smells really, really nice. Actually, I have 3 leather jackets that I use this stuff on, that I literally lay out my jackets on my floor. Spray them up, clean them up. This stuff is very, very good. It's excellent stuff. Actually, it's more for automobiles than anything. But if you want to be Johnny on the spot and you want to condition, your shoes, your J's, or whatever kind of sneakers you got, with the exception of suede, or if you have leather jackets, or like if you have like a motorcycle, and you wear like leather pants when you go out, onto the highways and shit like that, you can use it on that as well. Batting gloves, this works really good on. Baseball gloves, catcher's mitts, this stuff is really, really nice. So, but that's what I use on my J's. But there you have it. Not much more to say, folks. There they are. And hopefully I can make a homeless person's day. I'm hoping they don't take these and sell them. Look at the difference. I hope this person doesn't take them and sell them, but I'm going to give them to them anyway. But next time I make a run to Walmart or something like that, I'm going to go, and reconnoiter a little bit, see where he's at, maybe have a conversation first, and then come home and grab them. do a little bit of an intro video, and then I'll film myself handing these off to him along with a fleece blanket that I got. But that's pretty much it, folks. Thank you so much for checking out this live stream. You know, this is the time to really, really take care of those that are less fortunate than you. I know what that's like more than anybody probably than I know. I mean, I went through almighty hell over the years, and I'm still going through hell. And it's not by my own hand or my own doing. It's just this world is cruel. People are cruel. They're cold. They're heartless. They're thoughtless. They are apathetic. And like the way he was treated, I feel sorry for a lot of people. That's why I had him come up here on my patio. I cooked for him, and he never ate foods like we eat. And I have his crucifix right here. And I am honored to say that he was my friend. I've never met an American Indian before. He was very much into his culture and taught me a lot. He taught me a lot, but he wasn't doing too well when he was alive. Unfortunately, he went through a lot of things and people treated him very badly. His ex, I'm not going to get into his personal life because it's disrespectful to really talk about certain things with him that are very personal still, but you know, his ex got him into a lot of trouble, unfortunately. And he came up here one day and I had to stop him from doing terrible things to himself. I'm going to say it that way because this is YouTube. He tried to run out his own clock. Let's put it that way. So Wolf, I dedicate this to you and to all of you, ladies and gentlemen. You know, look out for those that are less fortunate, man. You know, unfortunately, with the way this world is today, the world is very cold-shouldered and ill-willed. And people want to overrate themselves and pretend like, you know, their feces doesn't have an odor. They want to pretend like when they sneeze, phlegm doesn't come out of their mouth or snot doesn't come out of their nose. People want to pretend that their stomachs don't gurgle when they're hungry. We're humans, man. We can be better. And I know we can. And a simple little gesture like this hopefully will mean something to someone. So let's see what time has in store. Next time I go take a walk over to the supermarket, hopefully he's there. I hope he's sane, you know, because unfortunately a lot of people out in the street, and I can tell you this, man, when I was sleeping in my car for a year, you do lose your sanity over a while. You lose yourself and your identity because people don't treat you like a person. You're just a two-legged piece of used up garbage. That's not what I see. And I didn't see that with him. But Wolf, people around here did. I didn't. And I'm wearing his crucifix. On that note, everybody, thank you. Thank you again, all of you. Be better, man. Things are tough. You don't have to be a conservative. You don't have to be a liberal. You don't have to be a Democrat. You don't have to be a Republican. You don't have to be black. You don't have to be white, tall, short, fat, skinny. Just be cool, man. Just be cool. Be cool and be human, man. You know? You see somebody hurt and take care of them. Don't walk over them. I know you can't save the world. You can't save people. You can't save the planet. But that one little good deed you do to just brighten somebody's day that much can change their life. And after everything that I went through, I took my second chance. I gave myself a second chance. The world didn't give me a second chance even at that time. I'm not here to bash my family. My family didn't give me a second chance. The mother of my children didn't give me a second chance. Certain people out there that are even watching this live stream won't give me a second chance. I don't need their affirmation. I'll do it on my own. I have and I will. God bless you all. Take care, everybody. Until the next time, stay safe. Thank the Lord above for everything that you got. I know I do. I am your host, the Carolina Collector. Until next time, take care, everybody. I shall see you around.